video, I'm going to try making my own hobby fuel out of denatured alcohol and some high quality two-stroke castor oil. Before I get started, I want to set the stage as to why I'm making this video. I've been currently using Sidewinder 20% nitro fuel in my HPI Savage, and it's been working perfectly well. I have no reason to switch anything out with it other than my local hobby store is over 45 minutes away, and they really do carry a limited supply of nitro fuel. In fact, they're all out of this 20%. So I went on the interwebs and I found that there's some people that claim that they can run their nitro engines off of denatured alcohol and a quality castor oil, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in this video. So with that, let's get started. The goal that I'm looking for the oil content is going to be between about 12 to 18%, with the target being 15%. I got a container over at the Dollar Tree, and what I was looking for is something that basically had perfectly flat sides. This has a slight taper to it, but close enough for me. And it does have some markings on the side, but they're spaced out so far, and because I'm just starting out with this, I don't really know what formulation I really need here. I decided to go, well, I need about this much, and so I'm going to go by distance. I actually measured out 60 millimeters on the side, and I took that 60 millimeters and my target of 15% oil gave me a distance of basically 9 millimeters. So I put a little mark at the bottom, and of course up at 60 millimeters. So knowing that this cup is slightly tapered, at the bottom I'm going to have a little bit less than 15%. So when I pour the oil, I might crowd that line just a little bit. When we take a look at the denatured alcohol that I'm using, I believe that this is going to be 60% methyl alcohol with the balance of 40% being ethyl alcohol. What does that mean? I'm not really sure because, quite honestly, I really suck at chemistry, but I'm pretty confident in my skills of mixing some oil with some alcohol. So with that, I'm going to get pouring. Got everything set up. This cup, by the way, I got from the Dollar Tree over by the cooking section. And the oil, this apparently is the stuff that everybody raves about. It's the best stuff if you're making your own nitro fuel, or if you're making gasoline two-stroke oil for a bigger gasser RC. And this still has the seal on, so I haven't worked ahead on this project, so we're going to be learning at the same time. That's just right at the line. I'm going to add just a little dribble more. I think that's going to work out perfectly. And time for some alcohol. Check it out. All the oil before it's mixed up is still hanging out at the bottom. I'll get the cap on and give this a good swirl to get it all nice and evenly mixed up. I've got a method to the madness on how I'm going to get this truck to run off the fuel that I just made. I'm going to start with the regular nitro fuel. I'm going to put a half a tank of fuel in there, and I'm going to make sure that the truck is starting and running properly and that it's all warmed up. Once that fuel tank gets down to about a quarter of a tank, I'm going to add another quarter tank of this fuel, which is going to start weaning the truck off of the nitromethane. The first time I add a quarter tank, it's going to take this 20% nitro and make it look like 10%. Once the truck is down to about a quarter tank, I'm going to add, you guessed it, another quarter tank of this homemade fuel, taking that 10% fuel and mixing it down to about 5%. I'm going to keep doing that until I'm running off of this. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to monitor the engine temperature and the carb tuning. And hopefully by the end of the video, I'll be running just strictly on this homemade fuel. All right, I think we're all set. Let's go outside and make some noise. Now this should be the easy part of the project, starting it with the nitro fuel. Now we're gonna try some of the fuel I just mixed up. So now we should be effectively running 10% nitro if I'm doing my math right. So one thing I'm going to do is give it a little bit higher idle. If I can find the screw. A little bit more, and the reason why I've got to keep giving it more idle is because of the throttle brake servo. There's like a piece in here that's meant to flex when you apply the brakes, and it goes the other way when we give it throttle, and it really doesn't work all that well. So at some point I'm going to replace that with a single arm that has full throttle control with just a spring for the tension for the brake. But for now, this is what I've got. I've got a lot of smoke coming out now. And that is full throttle right there. So I think I may need to lean this out quite a bit. That last temperature check, it was only at about 180 degrees F, which is way too cold, but now I've got quite a bit more throttle action. My last temperature check was about 228, so that's looking a lot better. It's still running a bit rich. Just leaned it out another quarter turn, so we're a full half turn lean from when we first started. The truck's definitely kicking into second gear now, that's good. The throttle's looking more responsive. I had temperatures up to 260, 270, which is still safe for me. I'm gonna add some more fuel and see what it looks like. This should be the equivalent of running about 5% nitro. And definitely running way too rich now. Always when I give it full throttle, it cuts right out. that's okay. We're down to about a quarter tank, so I was gonna fill the tank all the way up and we'll be running basically all on the fuel I made. This is gonna be basically 100% of the homemade fuel I made, no nitro content. And the engine's running and stopping. Cool. So the high idle is looking really good. It's the low idle that I'm having problems with. So I'm going to continue to work on that and kind of go from there with it. I thought I was going to be able to run this engine off of the fuel that I made, but when we saw in that video, the last time that engine cut out, that was the last time I got a decent run out of it. And that was just shortly after I filled the tank up with nothing but the fuel that I made. Off camera, I continued to try and start the engine. I didn't want to fill this video up with me trying to start the engine up. That'd be kind of boring. I did run through 2 battery packs through the starter gearbox and the entire battery on the glow starter. I also even tried a different glow plug in the engine, and I just couldn't get a decent idle out of the engine. The couple times I was able to get it started up again, the engine only stayed lit when it was running at medium to high RPMs. As soon as it got near an idle, it just immediately cut out. I just don't think that the fuel that I made has enough heat in the combustion chamber to keep that glow plug glowing red. So while I'd love to recharge all the batteries and give it another go and say, yeah, I can get it done, the reality is the carburetor settings are going to be so finicky. Chances are when I go out tomorrow in slightly different weather conditions, this thing is going to go through the whole scenario again of just being a dog of trying to get a decent idle on the engine. But fear not, there are a couple really cool things that I learned from running my own fuel. So the first thing that I learned is this was a lot of fun and it didn't cost me a whole lot of money. Just that mixing cup from the Dollar Tree and this pint of 2-stroke oil. This denatured alcohol, I use this in the shop because my other YouTube channel, the laser channel, I work with a lot of laser engraving equipment and I use this as one of the cleaners. And in fact, this table that we've been watching me film off of, this is actually a huge laser machine. I just do a dual purpose with it. The other things that I learned is as I start to reduce the nitromethane content, I end up having to retune the engine a little bit. The engine seems like it's running too rich, so I end up leaning it out a little bit. I also learned that the nitro content has a big role to play with the acceleration of the truck. Once I started reducing down the nitro content, the truck acceleration got a little bit boggy, but the top end speed seemed to be about the same. It's just that initial off the start line punch I was really lacking. But once again, out here in the front yard and in the backwoods, I'm not racing, I'm just ripping around, having fun, so that initial bursting speed isn't really all that important to me. And this engine appears at first glance to be able to run and start very reliably with as low as 10% nitro. It did all right at 5, but I think again, if I went and started the engine tomorrow running 5% nitro, I'd have to fiddle with the carb quite a bit. But at 10%, it seemed like it was very stable, and that opens up some different opportunities for me for a fuel. Maybe I could start running some airplane fuel through the engine. My experience is the aviation fuel tends to have a little bit more castor oil in it. And if for some reason I feel that I have to run off-road nitro fuel through this truck, and this stuff is getting harder and harder for me to find, I could always take this half gallon I have and reduce it down by half with my own mixture of the denatured alcohol with the oil, of course, and that will effectively make this look like 10%, so I can kind of get twice as much fuel out of 20% nitro. I think before I did that, I'd rather just switch over to some aviation fuel or call around to some more of the hobby stores around the area. I think somebody's got to carry some nitro fuel between 10 and 20% that doesn't cost $1 million. This video was a lot of fun, even though my fuel that I made wasn't able to reliably run the truck. It was still a lot of fun, and I was still able to share my learnings with all of you. Well, I'm certainly no Heisenberg, so if you think that I skipped something when I was mixing up my fuel that would have made the engine run a lot better, let me know down below by leaving a comment. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, or ring that notification bell. Not only is it a great way to help this channel grow, it's an excellent way to connect content like this with other great RC enthusiasts just like yourself. And until we meet again in the next video, keep on rolling.